Hello everyone, welcome to Even the Scales. Thank you for clicking on this video today and I hope you're all having a good day. My name's Donna and today on my channel I'm going to talk to you more about the mind control abuse that the majority of my community has been carrying out on me. First of all though, I would like to do an acknowledgement of country and first acknowledge the Dharawal people who are the true custodians of the land that I bring you these messages on today. I would also like to pay respect to elders past and present, as well as extend my respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are watching this video today. For those of you who have heard my story before, I would like to apologise if some of these messages do seem very repetitive, but this is the way that I have to tell people about what's going on here right now, because if people don't know the backstory of how these circumstances come about in the first place, they would probably find the whole situation pretty hard to believe. So it's important that I show people the big picture of what's been going on here. Also, if it just so happens that somebody just happens to click on this video and they haven't heard anything about my story before, well, at least they will know what's going on. And it's very important that I let people know what the police and other authorities are getting away with in this town here in Campbelltown, New South Wales right now. So my human rights are still being violated, and the people that are involved in carrying out the abuse are still doing anything they can to try and trigger me in any way that they can. And this is especially the police and the people that live around me that are involved in this. They have still been trying to do anything just to try and to trigger a reaction out of me. For those of you who have not heard my story before, my family, the majority of my community, and the police and other authorities here in Campbelltown, New South Wales, have been carrying out something called MK Ultra mind control on me. If you are not aware of what that is, it is when a large group or a community of people get together and they carry out very cruel abuse tactics on one individual, and they do this to psychologically torture them. This is to cause them either serious physical or mental health problems, or in some circumstances, people have even passed away from this kind of abuse. Sometimes people just take their own life as well because of the way that they isolate you through this. So that's what's been happening to me, and I have been purposely isolated by my family and community, and this is so that I feel hopeless and that I just want to give up on my life, and they're hoping that I take my own life. So this is what their objective is, and they isolate you, they make sure you have no help, and this has been done to me in the way that I have reached out to several large organisations who are meant to help people in abusive circumstances. And I've also reached out to people that are in the public eye that are meant to help people going through abuse, and they have either ignored me or they have turned me down or just, cut me off short, told me that they couldn't help me. And this is because I believe the justice system has either paid them off or told them not to help me. I counted how many organisations and businesses have been involved in this over the past 12 months, and it's up around 117 organisations and businesses that have taken part in this abuse. And I'm pretty sure that's just about, it may not be quite all of the businesses that I have had any association with over the past year, but it's most of them. I counted how many, and it's 117. So this is how big this is, what's going on here. And they're doing this because it's all a part of a massive police cover-up. This must be what the justice system do to people who are calling for justice in their lives, where the police have been guilty of committing a crime. It's what they do when they don't want to be held accountable for their crimes. MK Ultra is a way of taking someone's life without looking like they had anything to do with it. So what they're doing, they're trying to take my life as a community without having to physically harm me in any way. So they are psychologically torturing me to try and cause death. That's the bottom line here, or to either just destroy my life to the point where I become so ill, either mentally or physically, that I end up, not being able to take care of myself. So this is what they're trying to do. And there is a very large network of people involved in this. Like, I'm talking thousands of people. I want to make people aware of this, not only because of what's being done to me, but who knows how many other innocent people this has happened to in the past, all because the police want to escape accountability. They are covering up several things. My family and the police have been involved in carrying out abuse on me for over 2 years. But it got worse around a year ago when the majority of my community got involved as well. And this happened after I wrote a letter to the police. This was about a year ago. I wrote this letter to the police explaining how I had been treated and how they had responded to my calls to them, the reports that I put in over the past 9 years while I have been living with family and domestic violence. During that time, there were 12 calls, 12 reports made to the justice system. And on each and every one of those occasions, I was treated either very unfairly or my reports were not even followed up. And this is what the police do not want the public finding out, because domestic violence is a huge problem in this country. There are people passing away from it all the time. And I believe the police have, a lot to do with that because of the way I was treated. I experienced it firsthand. My family stole an inheritance from me that the justice system helped them do. And so this is what's motivated them to be so involved in this as well. They obviously don't want to give that money back to me, and they don't want to get caught for it. So it's like the justice system is they've worked with my family to do this. And, it's a way, I guess, of killing two birds with one stone. And where my family is concerned, there's also other motives involved, where there are abusive men who have done things that they don't want to be exposed for. There is jealousy in my family as well. There's a lot of jealous people who do not want to see me get my inheritance and do well in life. There is also belief systems that are clashing. And there's also racism in my family. So it's all of these things, all of those things together are contributing to why my family are so invested in helping the community and the police succeed in what they're doing. I also reported a pedophile in 2020. That pedophile is still living in a community here in Campbelltown, New South Wales. Nothing has been done about that person, and the reason that the police didn't do anything about that person when I reported them was because they just wanted to cause me psychological pain by doing that. That is the only reason. Yesterday, a very well-known Australian was actually charged with lesser crimes, even though what they did was actually terrible as well. It was less than what this person has done. And this person is still free, living in a community here in Campbelltown, and has been since I reported them. There are also other serious crimes that the police here in Campbelltown and other areas have been connected to, and one of them involves a very serious and violent crime against women. So it's all of these things that they're trying to cover up. I have family members that work for the police force, and there are also family members connected there are also police officers that are connected to my family, not related. And these police have been obstructing justice from taking place in my life. Another thing about this that's almost unbelievable is the way that my basic human rights are being violated right now. My privacy is being violated in the most extreme and disgusting ways that no one should ever have to go through in a lifetime. I have a listening device in my home and in my car. I'm tracked everywhere I travel to, and all of my devices have been hacked. The police and the community can listen in on my home, and they also watch everything that I do online. And this is so that they can carry out this abuse on me. So they're listening in on my home 24 hours a day. And the majority of the people who live around me are involved in this. Not quite all of them, but most of them. And it's because these people know that I can't call the police aren't going to help me. Well, they're doing whatever they like. And this is why I have no choice right now to speak out about it. I don't care if I've got to embarrass the bastards, to be honest, because, yeah, this is going on all the time. They're just constantly looking for ways to try and provoke me. So if I've got to embarrass them and just show people how these people have no morals whatsoever, that's what I'm going to do. So they know that the police won't help me. So they just think that they can get away with whatever they like. And because they're listening in on my home, they're listening for the things that I'm doing to try and think up ways to carry out abuse. A lot of these people that are doing this are actually women that are actually supporting these abusive men. They're supporting the pedophiles in this situation as well by going against me. And there's even been children abused through this. I've heard people abusing their children to try and get a reaction out of me. And this happened on the weekend. And I had to sit here in my lounge room and listen to this child be abused by this woman. And yeah, she's doing it to try and get a reaction out of me because people know how much I care about the welfare of children, and this is why she's doing it. And yeah, there are other people who are abusing me that live around me that know that this is going on as well, and they're still doing it. So this is how these people have no morals whatsoever. And some of the ones that live around me, they're just absolutely obsessed. They look for ways to abuse me constantly because they're trying to cause me a breakdown, or they're trying to cause me to have a mental health episode. But what's going on here, I'm pretty much the sanest person here, because to me, anyone who's trying to do this to somebody and who's watching all this go on, they are the ones who must have the mental issue as far as I'm concerned. And it's because they have that close access, the ones that are involved, they take advantage of it. And I don't know whether they're being paid for it, by the day for the abuse that they're carrying out on me, or if they are expecting a large sum of money or something like that when something happens to me. But I know that the whole community is working together to do this, the ones that are involved, and some of it are doing it for their entertainment. It is just so sick. Their lives are just so pathetic that they do this to me for their entertainment. Yesterday, for instance, I went to my bin and this bitch heard me pick up my keys. She knew I was going out to my bin. She must have ran there, but she did it just to try and trigger me because this person's done stuff to me before, and she must have ran out there and thought that, you know, if I seen her and that I would say something to her or something. But this is what these people are like. They are listening in on my home, and I want it to stop. There's another one that mocks me. This person gets on the phone and I've heard them mock me because as a part of this abuse to be carried out on me, they researched every single thing about me, about my life, everything, dating right back to my childhood. They researched my childhood traumas. They're using them against me. And they just researched just everything, to the point where how I communicate with my children and how they communicate to me. And this person, and even what I eat and things like that. And yeah, the things I buy, the things I use, they just research absolutely everything. This person gets on the phone and mocks me, and she'll mock, I've heard her mock, you know, different things about me. And she's doing this just to try and, you know, because they know I have no family as well, they're trying to make me feel hopeless and just abandoned, you know, like I've got nobody, which is definitely the case right now. But, you know, I don't look at it like that because I'm a survivor, and I try not to let it get me down too much. But I know what they're doing. I know what these people are doing. And the fact that they're doing it for their entertainment, it's just, I can't believe, like, these aren't young people, most of them. Some of them are, but most of them aren't. Like, it's just, it's unbelievable to me that these people just carry on so childish. My family must have given a lot of information for this, and a lot of what my family gave was lies as well, because obviously they don't want to see me win in life. So a lot of what they said, you know, as a part of this research and information that was given was lies. And, you know, at the end of the day, these people are trying to end my life. They're trying to end my life. They're trying to affect my stability. And whether they realize it or not, you know, invading my privacy and harassing me and disturbing my peace every day for a year, non-stop, trying to provoke me with premeditated acts of abuse. These people are listening in on my home. They've hacked my devices, and I'm not giving up until I get justice. I don't care. And because as far as I'm concerned, giving up is not an option at all in my situation. I love my life far too much, and I've come too far to be treated like this. So I'm going to continue speaking out about it until justice is served. And a lot of these people have been doing this so long now, like some of them have been doing this for a year, that I think they actually feel entitled to what they're doing. It's just so completely sick. They're also still carrying out these premeditated noise attacks here in Campbelltown. This has been going on for 10 months. This is happening in the early hours of the morning every day since the last time I spoke on a video. They're still doing this. I've never seen anything so pointless in my entire life. What they do is they use any kind of transport that they can to make noise. It was a lot worse, but it is still going on. So, you know, even though it's not as bad as it was, the point is here that it is still happening. And a lot of the transport that they're using to do this is diesel ran transport. So it's been creating all this extra pollution for the past year, not to mention the noise, the noise that's created. They're doing this in the early hours of the morning. So it's infringing on noise restrictions. And the thing is, it's the police and the council that's supposed to be regulating these things, and they're not doing it. The police and the council are actually contributing to this at times. The police get involved in carrying out the noise attacks. There's also one person who seems to oversee this whole thing and like the abuse that's sent towards me. And they listen in on my home 24 hours a day, and they try and control as much of my life as they possibly can. This person is very sick-minded, I should say, very sick-minded, and they're also extremely cruel with the type of things that they do. They listen in on my home 24 hours a day, even to the point where if I move at night, they will start up a noise attack outside. They use trucks, cars, bikes. They have people set up ready to start carrying out these noise attacks. They also do it on and off throughout the day. They're using planes as well, light planes and jumbo jets to carry out these noise attacks. The other night they flew a plane over the top of the house and it was pretty low, and they just did this specifically, you know, to disturb the peace. So that was a light plane that they sent over, but they're doing this sort of thing all the time. And on Friday night they did this, and people that live around me that are involved, they got involved in the noise attack as well. So it's like they're all premeditating this together, and the people that live around me that were involved in it, like they were prowling around outside and they start bashing things around in their house and things like this. And the police also stalk me, as well as the fact that they're taking part in these noise attacks sometimes. They also stalk me. They have done this every single day for the past 10 months. They stalk me on foot when I go out. They turn up where I am. They stalk me in the police car nearly every day. They use their siren. They would just turn it on and off. And they also stalk me in the helicopter. So they were doing this yesterday, and they do this to intimidate me, to cause me stress and anxiety and fear. And they're doing it just to let me know that they're not there to help me. It's just to rub that in and to make me feel hopeless. And they know that I have PTSD as well, so this is why they're doing it. They're absolute bullies, and, you know, because the abuse is subtle. I mean, so what? You hear a siren, or I see police where I go, or I see them in traffic when I go out and things like that. Well, you know, they want me to say something about this so that I will look crazy. But this is what they're doing. They are definitely stalking me all the time. I am not guilty of any crime whatsoever. So they're terrorizing an innocent person who's done absolutely nothing. They're just doing it to try and escape accountability themselves. And the person who oversees all this abuse, if you can call it that, there's some kind of coordinator that does this, that listens in on my home, and when they know I'm going out, they will have me followed. They will send stalkers to where I am going. And when the stalkers turn up to where I'm going, they are there to mock me or carry out some kind of psychological abuse on me. Sometimes they send lookalikes towards me, people that look like my abusers. Or there was one occasion a couple of weeks ago where they actually sent the pedophile towards me. to walk across in front of me so that I would see them when I was out, the one that I reported in 2020. So this is the kind of thing they do when I'm out. This has been going on for probably about a year. You can watch the other videos that I've made. There is one there that actually goes into, actually all the videos that I've made go into detail about the things that happen to me when I'm out and the things that this person sends towards me when I'm at the shops and things like that. There's also another video there. I'll put the link in the description box for this one, and it explains how the police handled my calls for help during the 9 years that I lived with family and domestic violence. So I'll put the link in the description box for that. That goes into detail about how they handled those calls. And another example of the things they do, like some of this stuff is just so ridiculous. I feel stupid even mentioning it, but I want to mention it because it just shows how much control this person's trying to have over my life. I used an asthma preventer the other morning. It's the first time I have done that for a couple of months. And so when I went out, this person sends things towards me to try and cause me breathing issues. I don't know. They must have thought like, oh, she's having breathing issues. She needed her puffer. So let's send things towards her to try and affect her breathing. So they'll send people towards me with very strong perfume or aftershave, things like that. Or they will send traffic it to me that is like that has a lot of exhaust coming out of it, like a lot of pollution. So it's these kind of stupid things that this person is doing. And they'll also send people to cause me issues on the road. This is happening every single time I go out. I have people trying to cut me off or cause me accidents. The other day I had someone do this, and this idiot had their company logo on the side of the car when they tried to cause me an accident. I got their number plate, and obviously I know where they work. But I just cannot believe how stupid these people are. Like, they must be so confident, believing that they're going to be able to get away with what they're getting or what they're doing. A lot of the vehicles that they send towards me on the road are also diesel fueled vehicles as well, because they've been sending a lot of utes to stalk me. I have no idea why, whether it could be some kind of ute club that I have stalking me. I don't know, but there are a lot of utes stalking me. Ambulances stalk me, and they're doing this nearly every time I go out, and there's a backstory to why they are doing this. Earlier this year, my family and an organisation that I was going to for help set up a situation where I was taken to the Campbelltown Public Hospital. I was admitted there as an involuntary mental health patient. I was held there for 5 weeks against my will. During that 5 weeks, I was put through intense psychological torture by the doctors, the nurses, and the fake patients that they had set up at the hospital. I should have never have been taken there in the first place. And it was like they got me there, and then once they got me there, they tried to trigger a mental health episode. So who knows how many people this has been done to, where they have been taken to hospital and they haven't got out. It's only that I am very, very intuitive, and I can see a lot of what's going on. I'm very, very sensitive like that. So it's only that I'm so intuitive that I have been able to get through this and been able to see through what these people have tried to do. So I can see where somebody who perhaps may not be quite as intuitive or not as mentally strong, could go through something like this and maybe just disappear. So there was barely a minute when I was in that hospital where I wasn't being provoked or abused in some way. And this is why the ambulance drivers are involved in this, because they were involved in the setup. So yeah, it's quite unbelievable. But the ambulance drivers are stalking me when I go out, and they will come up behind me with their siren on, and they will make me pull over or change lanes and things like that, and then they'll just drive off without their siren on. So this is what they're doing. And my family and the organisation that were involved in setting me up to go to the hospital, I realise now last year they were working on this all year, and that they had actually carried out very elaborate setups during last year that at the time I didn't really realise what they were doing, but I realise now that, yeah, they were trying to get me in like a weakened emotional state throughout all of last year. I mean, no one wants to believe that your family is abusing you, but this is exactly what was happening to me, and this organisation was involved in that as well. And I was held at this hospital for 5 weeks, and during that 5 weeks, I was like they were using the information that had been researched on me to abuse me. I was mocked and I was taunted, and it was the nurses and the doctors doing this as well, not just the fake patients that they had set up in there. I just couldn't believe the cruelty of these people and the things that they were doing. And they could all see into my phone as well. My phone, everyone could see what I was doing, and that was just to help them be able to carry out the abuse. And I'm pretty sure there was a camera in my room as well, and a listening device, but they were watching everything that I did. And it was my family's job to abandon me through all that. That was the role that they played in it. So once I was taken to the hospital, they abandoned me. I had to beg them to bring me my basic self-care items. They did bring me a few things, but I had to end up ordering most of the stuff I needed online, which was really difficult to try and, focus on doing something like that when you're going through something like this. And the time that they did come in and bring me the self-care items that I needed, their whole demeanour had changed once they had got me to that hospital. It was like they had set out to, they'd achieve what they had, meant to do. And all they were interested in once they got me there was getting me to sign the control of my finances over to them. So that's why they did it. They were blackmailing me. So, and it would be so easy for that hospital to take my life with no family to care about me. And yeah, they literally tried to pretty much take my life with abuse in that hospital. And that's no exaggeration at all. I was provoked every minute that I was there, and I had to develop like extremely strong control over the way I react to things. I have had to do this throughout this whole thing because it's been like a life or death situation for me. So it was like they shut down the whole fourth floor of that hospital, and anyone who set foot on that fourth floor was involved in this abuse that was being carried out on me. And this includes the social workers, the cleaners, the cooks, the fitness staff, and even the visitors that were visiting the patients. They were allowing me to have contraband in my room that a mental health, like if I was a real mental health patient, there is no way that I should have been allowed to have the things in my room that they were allowing me to have. They were allowing me to have drawstrings. They were allowing me to have glass items, plastic bags, scissors, hand sanitizer, because apparently they told me in there that alcoholics sometimes drink hand sanitizer and they can't get their hands on alcohol. But they were allowing me to have that in the room. And every single right that a mental health patient should have was violated. by that hospital while I was in there. So it was all a big elaborate setup to take me out. And it was so, it was done by the police and my family, because they were the ones that had something to gain. And obviously the people that were doing it were being paid for it. They were trying to make me look incompetent in there, so they would do things just to make me look like I had done them, just to make me look like I couldn't take care of myself, because this is what my family wanted. I think, to steal this inheritance, they've lied to the justice system and told them that, I don't know, I was a drug addict or an alcoholic to the point where I couldn't take care of myself or something like that, which is absolute lies. If anything, I take care of myself better than anybody in my family. And yeah, like they wanted to prove that I couldn't take care of myself so that they, can get off scot-free from what they have done and stealing that inheritance. They tried to scare me in that hospital. Like, they would set up things where through the night they would speak through the PA system, like really softly, like just to make me think that I was hearing voices and things like that. So, and they were also like trying to scare me. Like, they would make growling noises and scratching noises through the night, like just trying to scare me. There was no disease control in that hospital. There was no confidentiality whatsoever. I was denied medical treatment at times. There were times when they would mix up or delay my medications. I believe my food was tampered with several times, and they were trying to cause me breathing issues in there as well the whole time. I was totally neglected. I was treated with absolutely no respect whatsoever, and no dignity at all did I have in that place. So I have made a whole video on the 5 weeks that I spent in that hospital. I will also leave that link in the description box. I also mentioned on the last video how a projectile had been shot at my car at the beginning of this year, and I believe that projectile was shot from a slingshot because of the force of how it hit my car. It hit with a lot of force, and I also believe that family members set that up. It was actually the worker. I was pulling out of a car wash at the time, and it was actually the worker at the car wash that shot that at me, or I believe it was slingshotted at me. And it was the day after that occurred that I was set up to be taken to the hospital. So this person who slingshotted that stone at my car, or whatever it was, I don't know, it could have been a ball bearing or anything, but that person ended up as a patient at the hospital. So they actually sent that person to the hospital to pretend that they were a fake patient to try and trigger me, because I knew what that person had done. Because I know that when I pulled out after I heard it hit my car, I actually like turned around, and they would have seen me turn around and look like in their direction, so they knew that I knew that they did it. And yeah, that person who shot that ended up at the hospital as a patient like a couple of days after that happened. So that's really all I want to talk about today. If you've listened to the end of this video, I want to thank you very much for listening. And if you can, I would really appreciate it if you could either like the video or share the video. It would really mean a lot to me, because it would just help the video circulate and help, this information get out there to the public, just to let people know what the authorities and the police are doing here in Campbelltown, New South Wales, because people need to know what's going on here. So thank you again, and I will talk to you on the next video. Bye for now, and God bless.